What up, everybody? How we all doing this Wednesday night? Used to saying Saturday night. It's the Transformer Slag podcast live stream Wednesday night special edition, perhaps. We're doing this Wednesday night because Saturday is going to be Christmas. We're all going to be busy with either our friends or our family. So we did a voting on the community tab of the podcast, and we came to this conclusion that this is the day that you guys want. So my name's Proto Man. I'm the ugly mug that you get to see once a week or listen to 5 days a week, and to the left of me or the right, depending on how you're orienting your phone and or tablet device, Chris is with us again as the guest. How we all doing, Chris?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm surprised that it's Christmas already.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up
Yeah.
fast. So, again, we're going to do a very limited news recap. We only had a very few things that happened in between now and then. We're going to do a giveaway to the Patreon members and YouTube members that are registered as members of the podcast. We'll do some gift opening from the crew of Mikey and Louie. And then we'll just take some super chats for the rest of the evening and make up for lost time after the craziness that happened 2 weeks ago in the middle of a snowstorm or a hurricane or whatever we had going on in Quebec that kind of ruined everything last time. But yeah, so we'll get into that. So we'll jump into some news first. And then we'll do all the rest of the good stuff that we all like to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Super 7. So Super 7 officially finally revealed their Wave 5 of their Super 7 Transformers reaction line. Now, we kind of knew that these were coming because they accidentally showed the back of the packaging of their Santa Optimus Prime, and it showed some cross-sell for these guys right here. But this is the first time we actually get to see them in their packaging with their box art. And it looks pretty good. Again, for people that aren't familiar with these characters, we have a Generation 1 Prowl, we got a Generation 1 RC, a Dino Mode Grimlock, and I guess we could call him Viewfinder, the centerpiece of Decepticon Reflector. I'm pretty sure all of these are going to get repainted and retooled like crazy, like Super 7 always does. The image that you're seeing on the right there is many years ago, back in 1990, there was a concept of doing a Action Master RC that never really came to fruition, and it would have been technically the first ever RC toy we would have ever gotten. So this, Super 7 figure is kind of like in a lot of ways of that old RC figure we probably would have gotten all those years ago. So that's pretty hype. That puts Super 7 right now up to... Man, oh man, it puts it up to 38 different reaction figures that we have up to this point now. Across Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3, Black Friday editions, special editions, convention editions, Target exclusives. There's a lot to collect, and they seem to be really covering all of G1. I am wondering when they're going to ever dive into the non-G1 characters. I mean, we have a few like, Diaclone colors and G2 colors and stuff like that, but nothing that's outside of that Generation 1 bubble. So I'm really curious if we're ever going to see like some Beast Wars characters or anything like that. Who would you like to see done?
Oh my God. That's a very good question. Because how long have they been doing the reaction stuff for?
Wave 1, I believe, was 2019, I want to say. Yeah, or maybe late 2018.
And now they're up to almost 40.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh my God, who haven't they covered?
Most of 84, 85 stuff, they just started doing 1986 characters primarily because of the anniversary of the movie. That's, the big reason why they jumped into a lot of that. Like the Hot Rods, Galvatrons, Death of Starscream, Death of Optimus, RC. Like we're slowly leaning into that now a little bit.
Oh my, I don't know. In terms of Beast Wars, I am really curious to how they would do, of course, Primal and Megatron, especially with the way how they design the G1 stuff. Like they would have to.
Yeah, they wouldn't be as bulky as some of the G1, some of the Beast Wars guys, because G1
Hmm.
is very square, very like you could fit it in a thin box, but Beast Wars characters, like especially Beast Wars Megatron, he's so wide with his dino head and his tail arm on the other side, because these will obviously be in robot mode. I mean, someone like Rat Trap I could see being done, or maybe Cheetor, because they're mostly they could fit that silhouette or that profile. But some of the other characters, like man, Rhinox would be a tough one. Like characters that have big wings, like a Waspinator or an Air Razor or stuff.
It's like Tarantulas and Black Arachnia.
Yeah, the legs. Yeah, it'd be really tough. But I mean, maybe that's why they've kind of stuck to this. Also, I think the reaction guys, they really are like those 80s kind of kids. I don't think they really celebrate a lot of 90s stuff. Everything that they've done, I mean, the closest thing to 90s would have to be probably them tackling the Power Ranger stuff and I guess Ninja Turtles in a sense, because Ninja Turtles is late 80s, early 90s. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Again, these ones that they have, they're going to be on their store very soon. They're going to be $18 a piece. So, that for some people that's a good price. For some people that's extremely overpriced. But Reaction is again a low margin specialty kind of line. Not a lot of their stuff does end up at retail, and if it does, it's usually Target. These are scheduled to when they do go on pre-order. The plan is to have these out by February of next year. So if you're interested, they are out there, and there's 38 of them if you're a completist. Next piece of news. This is a bit of I'm going to post some lead ups here. So we pretty much we thought that the Rescue Bots line was dead, and then we saw from Hasbro that they were working on this like Transformers Dinobot Adventures line, which was just taking a lot of pre-existing Rescue Bots molds and just repainting them to put them out there. A lot of it is really just to keep trademarks and keep stuff alive, and also probably to still have a I guess a shelf presence in the play school aisle, if you want to call it that, the children's aisle. That's why I primarily think that all this stuff really exists. And I mean, they were doing again all under that Dinobot Adventures branding, but out of nowhere, just recently on eBay from a seller all the way in the UK of all places, had some Hasbro official stock images of a brand new release. And that was that of a, oddly enough, Transformers Rescue Bots Academy, which they're going back to that branding, Autobot Ratchet. Now, fun fact, all the Rescue Bots Academy characters are actually technically part of the Transformers Prime continuity or the aligned continuity. So this Ratchet is technically the Jeffrey Combs Ratchet from Transformers Prime. This character actually did appear in Rescue Bots Academy, I think in 2 episodes, very briefly, and is supposed to be like the uncle of Medics, which is one of the characters that also had a toy in the Rescue Bots rescan line. So it is something. So I said before with Legacy, 2022 is going to be the year of Transformers Prime. I guess if you're a fan of Ratchet from Transformers Prime, you have a brand new figure based on that specific version that will be available out there. We don't have much more information outside of that, although just recently, before we went live, I just learned that there's going to be another one that's going to be included in that case of a brand new release, and it's going to be a heat wave that turns into a jet. I'll probably cover this more in deeper, maybe later this week, but yeah, it's interesting. Again, there's people who like Rescue Bots. I know that when I used to review Rescue Bot stuff, there was a huge audience for it. What do you think?
I'm happy we're getting more rescue bots. I yell to everyone that this show and Academy to a degree that it's so well done and it's so well written. I love everything about it. So hearing that we're getting new toys because we're entering the 10th anniversary of Transformers Prime, and because of all the stuff that we're getting that are getting for Prime fans, like the RED stuff, and now we're getting Rescue Bot stuff. So I'm all for it. I want more rescue bots.
And me, I'm just trying to like, I'm going like, okay, maybe there's a Ratchet trademark that's, that's dying off, so they have to like put out a new product. Maybe they still want to have, again, like I said before, some kind of presence in that aisle of the toy aisles, because if they don't do anything, because Hasbro said they're not doing any new Rescue Bots episodes or anything, that's done. But I think they don't want to still surrender if you go to a Walmart and you go to that aisle where there's all that other product that's similar, Imaginext. Trying to think of what are the other brands that are also in that aisle of Play School. So I think they really want to. What else?
Imaginext, Play School,
I know I can't think of any others, but yeah, those are the two big ones. So it's something that I feel. I really feel that I think that they just want to just keep that space, especially during the holiday season and maybe even afterwards, so that if parents are looking to buy something for their kids, there still is that opener Transformer product, that beginner Transformer product in that aisle to get to them, instead of them buying an equivalency of Star Wars or something like that, or Power Rangers. They've done all the big brands have those equivalencies. They saw what Rescue Heroes did all those years ago, and even to an extent Pup Patrol, or whatever it's called, Paw Patrol, I think it is. How that's successful, and that does very well with the market. So we'll see what happens. But again, that's going to be out there too. The Ratchet is a retool of Medics, so no surprise there. They didn't really have to do much to make that toy, so it's still pretty cool. So if you're a fan, again, of the Prime Ratchet, good news for you, there's a brand new toy of that character coming out in 2022, of all things. So pretty awesome stuff. We have a gold super chat from Princeton Phalanx 59. He says, hello, unfortunately, I cannot watch tonight. I just received some bad news. My mother has passed away. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry to hear that, Princeton. Make sure to tell all your loved ones that you love them. Have a Merry Xmas, everyone, and love you all. Well, Princeton, thoughts and prayers, like they always say, to you and your family. That's some that's some tough stuff, man. I don't know. That's throwing me off right there, and we're talking about Ratchet too. All the best, my friend. Stay strong. That's some crazy stuff. I don't know how to transition to that. So let's go into some fan voting stuff. Try to lighten the mood. We're going to have the fan voting that is going to be ending on December 25th coming up. And if you haven't gotten your voting in, find the segment. It's barely a week or so old. It's the one that literally has this thumbnail that's on the screen. And cast your vote. If you are a Patreon member or a YouTube member, just make sure to mention in your voting that you are one and what name you would want to put, specifically the Patreon people, because the YouTube members, they'll have their icon next to their name, so that won't be too big a deal. But for the Patreon people, you won't have that, so please just put Patreon, your Patreon name that you want to be mentioned, and what your vote is, and we're going to have it tabulated. I think we're over 300 votes right now, so it's going to be pretty crazy. I'm seeing a pretty clear winner. I don't want to say who. Someone that I didn't expect was going to get so many votes. But still looks pretty crazy what's going on. We'll see what happens. And be sure to get your votes in. And that is that. Also, again, for people who didn't know, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. We just put out episode 1 of the 3-part series. We think it's going to be a 3-part series of Transformers Armada with the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, where we cover the pre-creation beginnings of Transformers Armada, all the nitty-gritty stories of going to Japan that Aaron Archer and his Japanese crew did, putting together all that madness that was Transformers Armada. And there's a lot of interesting stories there. I mean, I don't want to spoil, but one thing that he said in there really told me if Aaron didn't raise his hand in a meeting in Kenner's office in Cincinnati, we probably wouldn't even have the Unicron trilogy today. Like, it literally was a fluke that it all happened because one guy didn't want to move, pretty much. It was pretty nuts. So very interesting story. Definitely go check that out. Again, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. It's on YouTube right now. It's a long form visual series, usually between an hour to an hour and a half. We also have past episodes that are based on other Hasbro and Takara products. So definitely be sure to check that out after you listen to this. And we have other episodes that are coming in the future, but we wanted to get this one out just before the end of the year because this episode specifically celebrates the 20th anniversary of Aaron going to Japan and creating Transformers Armada. Next year will be the actual legitimate 20th anniversary of Transformers Armada, so that'll be pretty cool. We got a $5 super chat from Lightning Lancer. If you could choose 4 DJD, the Decepticon Justice Division members, excluding Tarn as a leader, who would they be? Choose 4? Well, then you'd be pretty much choose of the 4, I would imagine. I don't know. The other ones aren't really good leaders. That's the problem. They're all kind of psychopaths. Like, they're all like Starscream characters. What was Blender guy's name? I'll go with him. Yeah. What about you, Christina?
Well, that's a very good question. Get back to me when I finish reading the
Okay.
IDW stuff.
That's actually why I don't talk much about it on the podcast, because a lot of people have. I've read it all right to the end of everything, but Jaws D hasn't, and a lot of people haven't. I think they're just kind of waiting for like a deal on Cosmology or something, or whatever it may be. I'll go with Blender guy just because I think Blender guy, I guess that would be a good. The thing is, none of them stand out to me as leader material, where Tarn at least kind of has a little bit of. I mind he's the one who gets the most character development, so it is what it is. But I'll go with that. Christina has to wait until she reads the books, if and when she gets around to them.
I know.
It's a lot to read, unfortunately.
It's
a lot to catch up on. Each book is like 15 minutes of reading. If you do the math, that's a couple of months of sitting down. But yeah. Also, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Again, Symbiote Studios, who are providing us with the pins, the t-shirts that we're wearing today. Well, maybe not her. She's wearing something way better. And of course, the plush that we have in the background, the Unicron, and I'm wearing the Grimlock with Grimlock chilling with Unicron munching metal. So be sure to check them out, symbiotestudios.com. They're in the comment below. The description below. Check out their link. They recently restocked a lot of their stuff, so be sure to check that out, including their gigantic Unicron. And of course, they have a whole bunch of other Hasbro-related licensed products like G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and more. And again, next year we're going to have a Wave 4 that's going to have some other characters. We don't know who will come first and how will they look, but that you'll find out first right here on the podcast. So be sure to check that out for Wave 4 when those do drop. And if you haven't gotten Wave 1, 2, and 3 and the Unicron, definitely go get them before they sell out. Because when they're gone, they're going to be gone. They'll be retired, like a Beanie Baby, except they'll actually have value. Yeah. So I do want to address one thing before I get into the rest of it. Last week, we had a listener question that was addressed to you, and then we lost power. Well, I lost power. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pull up the listener question this time around. It was Stinkfist69 that asked it. I'm going to ask it again. That way we could finally get a proper answer. I remember someone was saying, she mentioned Power Core Combiners, and then everything died. That might have been a sign. So I'm going to ask the question again. What's your favorite TF character and series? What are some other lines that you collect? It's great to have you here tonight. Thanks, Stinkfist69.
Okay, so let me just pull up the question again. Favorite Transformers character? Dinobot from Beast Wars. Design would be the Transmetal 2 version.
Okay. Series,
of course, being Beast Wars. Other lines that I collect. Okay. Aside from PCC. Okay, good.
If you abbreviate it, it protects the stream.
aside from PCC, classics, which is actually one of the first lines I've ever collected when I started. Um, One of my greatest memories is actually getting my first classics figure, which was the Sunstreaker. And because of that, I have slowly collected every Sunstreaker ever since. Um, Other than that, animated, which is a big one, I am quite close to completion on it, but I know there are just certain things that I cannot get.
I'm
Uh,
assuming BotCon stuff, pretty much.
no, I have some of the
Oh, okay.
BotCon stuff.
Okay.
I have the Stunticon set.
Okay, cool.
If you notice, I actually have three Auto Troopers right
Ah,
behind
there you
me.
go, the army builders.
I'm referring to the Blackout, actually.
Oh, you know what? See, that stuff will be cheaper later. It's funny because that blackout specifically, I remember at one point it was like super in demand when animated was really hot and still new.
Yeah.
And then around like I want to say 2012 to like 2017, nobody cared about animated. No one was collecting it. And I know that specifically for a fact because I think it was my buddy Ego Raptor. He was like, "Oh, I need to get animated Blur." Like I think he was missing animated Blur, and so we kind of like went around the deal room at BotCon that year. And I want to say whatever it was like a West Coast year. I think it was 2014, and we were just going around the deal room trying to find him one. And while we were doing that, I was seeing like, oh my goodness, like Blackout is like $60. Sure, why not? Like I mean, even when you factor in like okay, MSRP in Japan, he probably would have been like 45 plus tax
Mm.
plus shipping
Mm.
would have been like to me that was cost.
Yeah.
Like it really was. So I picked it up then because I didn't pick him up initially when he first came out because I was kind of focused on other stuff. Again, animated came out in that 2009 2010 time which was like peak Transformers where there was just so much product coming out that it was very hard to keep track of everything. If anything, it was pretty nuts.
You go to that meme earlier on Discord.
Yeah, the meme that I posted on Discord reflects it, where it was just like there was Creo, there was Robot Heroes, there was Robo Replicas, there was Fast Action Battlers, there was oh my God, Real Gear. I know I'm forgetting stuff. I don't think Bot Shots was out yet, but
Oh,
there
that's later.
there was just so much. It was just and I was a completist especially back then, so to then go, okay, and I got to get these Japanese imports. And the thing with animated on the Japanese side is they had all those paint variants. Everything is like silvery, or I guess we call it shiny. So to like, if I was like a major completist and go, oh, I got to get every variant of that, then I'd be broke. I'd be finished.
Still to get that exclusive like Takara Mall black repaint of the Supreme was it the Supreme version
The
of Optimus
the
Prime?
rollout one had a black version.
Think, or it might have been the Voyager one. I cannot
Probably
remember, or the leader.
I could
I can't
see the
remember.
Voyager one having it. Because when you're saying Supreme, because the only Supreme animated figure we had was the roll. I think it was called Rollout Optimus Prime. So one where you roll it and it auto transformed. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I have
so
it.
I don't. Maybe you're right. Maybe there is a black one. I don't remember that.
Looking this up right now. I don't think there
Because I
is.
know, like sometimes they'll do like a black repaint and it'll be called like Elite Guard or something. Like they'll call it something like that. For sure, there's got to be like a black convoy of something of the Voyager scale and the deluxe one, but the others I don't know. That I don't know. And then they had the Easy collection, which is what we called our activators over here. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, either way. So what else? What was the rest of the question here? So, some other lines.
Was other lines aside from
Yeah, let's
Transformers?
do some non-Transformer lines too.
Okay.
Oh no, are we going down the rabbit hole like me?
Down that hole. Let's see. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I do collect some Medicos figures. I own a lot of the Todd McFarlane Spawn stuff.
Early or like the more recent stuff?
I actually collect the
Okay.
early stuff, like the ones from the 90s all the way to the 2000s. I think my most recent one. Um,
Do you have? I'm sorry to cut you off. Do you have? Because I collected all that Wave One when that first hit back in the day. That was a big deal. So
yeah.
do you have that Wave One stuff like Violator, Spawn, Medieval Spawn? Let me ask you something. I don't know how old you were
Right.
when it came out. Were you disappointed that the cape wasn't articulated? Like it just kind of is out like that for Spawn, and it doesn't like fold in on itself.
A little bit,
As a kid, I
actually.
was
It was.
because in the package, it was folded on, and then when you
Mhm.
open it, I have a mint on card version because I bought one recently for like nothing because those things don't go for anything.
Things were very
Yeah,
cheap. Yeah.
it's '90s toys, but
Mhm.
I was always disappointed by that, and I was like, oh man, like Medieval Spawn's like the best figure of this first wave because Violator was kind of like a one of those figures there. It has like a wire in the body,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And if you play with the mouth gimmick, the horn busts after a while, like it's that first wave was pretty rough. But Todd was on to something that would
Hmm.
revolutionize the industry. Me and Aaron actually talked about it on the podcast once. We were talking about how Todd McFarlane was really making a lot of other companies going. And speaking of which, Aaron's here right now. There he is.
Hi, Aaron.
Um, but how he kind of was like directing in a lot of ways. Oh, you could put more paint here, collector market. So what else did you collect?
Just a couple of things here and there. Oh my gosh, I forgot about figure arts, SH figure arts, Kamen Rider and Super Sentai.
Mm, Toku.
Yes, Toku
Mm.
stuff. I keep
I'm
forgetting
so
that
I'm
I do.
so picky with that kind of stuff. Like me, it's like it's got to be like that one specific ranger from that one specific series. I'll pick it up. And then I'm so worried that they don't finish the Rangers because they like never do because they never want to do the girl characters for some reason. Or if they do, they end up being like a convention exclusive, which is like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna buy like Shinken Pink for like $400. No, thank you. I think I'll put that money towards a Japanese G1 figure or something.
Now they're a lot more cheaper, thankfully, because Sentai figure arts kind of died until very
Do you
recently.
so I mean, now we're talking about Power Rangers like crazy, but do you think it's because of the Lightning collection? You think the fans kind of steered their energy towards that?
It's because of the lack of figure arts, everyone went towards Lightning Collection
Mm.
because it's basically completing certain certain characters that haven't ever been an SH figure art.
I think also, and
Like
and one thing that SH has never done, which is a shame, and I mean, there's very few rare examples of it showing the Japanese actors their faces. They never done that, to my knowledge. I mean,
they've done probably about
oh,
two,
have they?
but that's
Okay,
on the Rider side, not on the Super Sentai
okay,
side. Yeah. They released the recently it was the Kamen Rider Ichigo, that had the actor's name. I forgot his name. I keep forgetting. That had the actor's head on
okay,
it. And there was an exclusive. There was a con exclusive, or it might have been a web shop exclusive of GX03 with the actor's head with the battle damage.
okay.
It's really good.
Cool, cool. Um,
Yeah.
what else in the question here before we move on? Uh, any other characters from Transformers? Let's say anything else, like some favorite characters.
Shockwave would be one.
Like we'll go through it like this. Okay, let's go G1. Name some favorites.
G1. Actually, here's the thing. I don't relatively collect
I'm
characters.
not saying I'm not saying so
I
much collect, but do you have any favorites, like just characters overall?
characters. Okay. Because I was gonna steer to another answer. For characters, it would have to be
Okay.
Shockwave and Brawn, and I can never find one.
You want a G1 Brawn specifically?
I would
Like
Brawn.
there's that
Yes.
the keychain one's pretty easy to get. That was like a hot topic thing. I'm pretty sure you could find that for like 5 bones. I'll have to keep an eye out.
Okay, thanks.
Um, but now when we go into like let's say Beast Wars, some of those are pretty obvious. Um, let's go into Armada. Any favorites there, or Unicron trilogy as a whole? Anything that
For Unicron trilogy, I basically every Megatron and Galvatron because David Kaye is the voice of that character. So, Hot Shot is another one. And I believe, and some of the Beast Wars homages that they kind of sneak in and out. I think I got Cheetor and Airazor so
yeah, the
far.
Eraser with the resculpted back that has a Decepticon logo. So weird that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then, of course, let's say, animated. Any favorites there?
Animated. Let's see. Prime, Megatron. Uh, let's see who else. Black Arachnia, Shockwave, Lugnut. You're gonna see some consistency here. If my favorite voice actor is voicing that character, 100% I will end up collecting it.
That's kind of it's funny. Like a lot of the characters that I like, and it's pure coincidence. I find that a
Hmm.
lot of the characters I like always seem to be voiced by Scott McNeil. I don't know why. And
Yes.
not just Transformers, just like shows in general. Like one of my favorite
Hmm.
characters in Street Fighter is Ken, and it was voiced by Scott McNeil. My favorite character in Mega Man, obviously, is my namesake, voiced by Scott McNeil. I'm trying to think of some others. He did Piccolo at one point. One of the many people who've done Piccolo in
Hmm.
Dragon Ball. I'm trying to think of some others, but you know, Scotty's done a lot. Scotty's
That's done
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
he's done a lot of stuff. What was I gonna say? But yeah, so we also have some other questions. Let me jump into those. I think I saw one from Downright Superb, one of our YouTube members. Proto, why is Christina famous in the TF fandom? Did she work with Hasbro like you? What did she do? She did nothing. No.
I had zero input with anything. I just know how to
The
talk.
only input she's had is talking the voice actors. She's well known because she's a regular at TF cons. Practically almost every TF con since
2008.
2008. There you go. And a lot again also if you're at other Toronto shows, Anime North
Hmm.
and this and that of some of the others, she will be there. So convention socialite I think was the term you use.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So that's probably the best way to describe it. Let's see. What we'll do actually is we're going to do the drawing. So we're going to first we'll ask a question, and again, guys, I'm going to say this again. Um, if you are a Patreon member and you want to be a part of this drawing, say your Patreon name, say Patreon and your name, and then your guess. If you're not a Patreon member and you're a YouTube member, which is the people with the icons next to their name, just say the answer. And I have my mod. That's why we kind of had a hiccup at the beginning of the stream. My mod, John, will take care of that, and then he'll send me the list, and we'll see who wins. We will see who wins. And again, just to remind people of what the giveaways are this time around. Let me just find that. Did I not queue that one up? I swear I didn't queue that one up. Well, I'm just going to have to get that in a moment. We're professional here. Let me get the giveaway. So what we have this time around is we're going to be doing a hefty third-party flavored giveaway. So the giveaways that we have this time around are MechFan Toys MF26 Sharkticons. It's a 3-pack of Sharkticons with some nice hot rod art on it. We have the Mr. Moon MM01 the recorder and MM02 the mic. It's a small version of Blaster and Perceptor. Looks really cool. Nice little set there. And then you have the MechFan Toys MF36 Camera Brothers, which you could take a guess who those guys are. It's that crew. There's actually you get a whole bunch of extra pieces too. The photos do not do it justice. You get a tripod and the camera mode stuff and everything. Nice little set there too. And for the non third party fans, if you want to have a choice, you have a Generation Selects UK Rotor Storm MSRP 1999 for the people who are not interested in third party stuff. So those are the 4 items that are available. They are brought to you by Binth. They provided all our crazy stuff. So once again, thanks to them, and be sure to check out their website. They're the amazing 3D printing and modding community people. I can't stress enough how talented those people are. Be sure to check out their stuff too. And so once again, super easy question. Name one of the plushes that Symbiote Studios is going to be doing for 2022. Same question again. but it's always to pay attention to see if you guys are listening. So I'm going to wait for you guys to throw some answers in there. And I'm going to let John collect all the answers, and he'll pick out of a hat 4 people that will win. The 4 people that do win, you'll have to contact us and let us know your addresses. Primarily because, well, we're gonna have to ship them to you somehow. So if you are part of Patreon, just contact me through Patreon with your address if you are a winner. If you are a YouTube member, probably Twitter would be the best, or if you're part of the Discord, contact me through Discord. That's another way to do it. So we will see what happens with that, and we'll see. John is going to be rounding. Here comes all the names now, so John's going to be rounding them up. We will see who gets what and who gets when. And how it'll work is number 1 is going to get the first pick, number 2 will get the second pick, and then whoever's number 4 will get the the last pick pretty much. And we will see what happens with that. Yeah. Johnny, are you good over there? I'm just talking to him back and forth. Hold on. Separate
It's
window.
fine. While you were saying all that stuff for the giveaway, I was actually looking up the black repaint, and it turns out it was the Voyager, and it was it was a museum convention.
Oh,
exclusive.
Oh God, how much is that gonna be?
I have no idea, and I'm very afraid to look at it every time I think about it.
Oh my goodness. See, but at least I was right that they didn't do anything with that big one there, because I know that one they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mistook it because the chest is the same. That's why.
Alrighty. Okay, so it looks like John has our 4 people, but I won't say them just yet. What we're gonna do first, before we do that, is we're gonna go into the gift box again. Last week was pretty crazy. That Ravage was a shocker, and
that's amazing.
That was pretty bonkers. Wish you were there to see that, because I was like, whoa.
I was not at all jealous that you got a gift instead of like paying for it like I did, plus shipping and handling to the GameStop that's like literally 5 minutes from my house.
You're lucky to have a GameStop 5 minutes from my house, from your house, but yeah, it's a good 10-minute drive. Not many in the West Island, unfortunately. I found they were closing down a lot of them. They weren't doing well during the Big V and everything. John got all the names. He just pulled them out of the hat. He's going to send me the 1, 2, 3, 4 in a moment. Alrighty, so we'll have that. So in the meantime, let's open up some stuff. So I'm going to do boxed, then I'm going to do loose, then I'm going to do boxed again. So we got, again, this is from Mikey and Louie in the crazy gift box. Tons of stuff. I don't know how long this gift... I think this is going to last us maybe 2 more weeks, I think. So we got another one here. Let's crack this one open. This one doesn't have wrapping paper I care about. So we will see. It's clearly a Generation Selects item. So let's see who it is. Oh, that was smooth. Here it is. It is Ricochet. Is it the black? Oh, wow. It's the black repaint of Jazz as Ricochet. Very cool. Very nice. Very, very nice. I almost forgot. I was like, Ricochet, because I'm so used to calling it Stepper. That's really cool. That's something Jaws D would have liked to have, too. A black Jazz? Of course. Of course. Alrighty. Let's go to a loose one. Which one should I grab? Should I grab this one? Yeah, I'll grab this one. We got a super chat here. Stinkfist69, thanks for finishing my question from the last week. She was on. Only thing I want is for you is to block the person spamming your show. Please keep it thick. There's a person spamming where I usually kind of just ignore people that are just spamming stuff.
One moment.
Doesn't look like it. She has to go. So I'm going to open up another one in a moment. I'll just wait till she comes back. In the meantime, I'll try to see who's spamming. Who's spamming? No one should be spamming. We're supposed to be having a good time here. Yeah, that's why, Stinkfist, that's why I brought up your question again, because I felt really bad because, like, you literally paid for the super chat and then, pow, we lost everything. It was extremely, extremely windy in my area, but it seemed like it was windy for everybody in a lot of ways. All right, we're going to open up number 2 now. It's a loose figure. So let's see what this is. And it is... Oh, what is this? It's green. One sec. It's a green figure. Oh, it's Rack and Rune from Cyberverse. That's pretty awesome. It's the Energon armor one. This is the first time he's gotten an official figure. That's really cool. I wanted to pick him up. I couldn't find him locally at all.
No, I never encountered
These were in a lot of ways for Canada. A lot of them were really like online exclusives. Like for some reason, they would be on Walmart's website, but they wouldn't be at the Walmarts. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome though. First time that dude's gotten a character. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Thank you, Mikey and Louie, for that one. I'm going to do a nice photo shoot of that guy. People have been watching on my Twitter. All my photo shoots recently have been because of Mikey and Louie and their awesome stuff. We'll open up another boxed one here. This one with Spider-Man packaging. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Oh, what is this? I don't recognize the side, because I looked at the box and I was like, oh, this has got to be like a Siege item or something, but it's not Siege. I don't recognize the top of it. Oh my god.
What is it?
I'm trying to do a good reveal for the audience. It is Draculus, the Dracula.
Look at that!
What?
Oh god.
What?
God.
You know what's the crazy story with this one? And why I refused to pick this up in Canada when I saw it? So, this item, thank you again, Mikey and Louie, this is amazing. This item in the United States, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I believe it's $29.99 or like $25.99. Do you know how much this is in Canadian dollars? And keep in mind, exchange is not that bad. This is $79 in Canada. And I have no idea where they came to that, because $25 or $29 American is, on a bad day, it's $40. On a bad day. How they came to $80, I'll never know. I'll never know. But that's why I was like, I really wanted it, because it's like, hey, it's a Transformer with a cape. Can't argue with that. I didn't the one thing though, and it's not me complaining, I didn't realize how thick they made the VHS thing. It looks so big. It's almost like an 8-track or something. That's huge. That's really cool though. That is really cool for the kids who know what an VHS is. Go to your local Value Village or whatever, or Salvation Army or whatever you guys got over there. Go to that section. You'll see plenty of them for $1 a piece. Can't get rid of them. Can't get rid of them. You know what? We'll do 2 more, but we'll do 2 more later. How about that? We'll save it for later. Let's give away some prizes. So John has my names here. So first place, actually, let me bring up the items. So first place, and who gets first pick of the items, is Michael Koo. Michael Koo is a YouTube member, I believe. Yep. So Michael Koo gets the first pick. So Michael, just contact me through, whatever method you want to use in order to contact me. I believe you're also a Patreon member, so that would be probably the easiest way. Second place goes to Mr. Bumblebot, a.k.a. Christopher Quinn. So Christopher Quinn, you get second pick after whatever Michael chooses. Third place and third pick goes to Orlando Chavez. Orlando Chavez, I believe, in the chat here is a YouTube member. or a Patreon member. I don't know which one. I have to double check. Again, John has all the lists on his side, so he's the one who's doing the fact checking. That's why it takes so long. So Orlando, again, contact me any way you can. Let me know what your choices will be and whatever the other two didn't take already. And last place, but there is no last place in this because you're still a winner. Last place is Dark Twilight 20, also wins. I believe a Patreon member of that one. So those are our four winners. Again, Michael Koo, Mr. Bumblebot, aka Christopher Quinn, Orlando Chavez, and Dark Twilight 20. Everyone's names, please contact me any way you can with your home addresses so I could stalk you on the outside of your house. Preferably at night, preferably when you guys aren't home. So we could send you your items. And again, congratulations to everyone. And just to give a shout out to the last 2 weeks. The first week that we did this, Downright Superb, Horned Owl, Stinkfist69, Ben Williams. Week 2 was Star Max, Princeton, Joey, 1231, and Tom Laney. So again, congratulations to all. And I don't know if we might do one more. We might do one more giveaway. I'll see how I feel. I kind of wanted to do this as a give back to the fans. Maybe we'll do one more before the year is up, or maybe we'll do and this is the thing too, because next week is next week Saturday, not this week Saturday coming up. Next week Saturday, it lands on New Year's Day, and at first I was going like, ooh, do I want to do something on New Year's Day? So again, it's gonna fall into the hands of the fans. Will you guys be available for New Year's Day to come to a stream or not? Because I mean, I ain't going nowhere. It's the big V. I'm gonna be here one way or another. New Year's Eve, I might be busy. I don't want to be sitting in a stream during New Year's Eve. But New Year's Day, for sure, I'll be free. So let me know if you guys will be free on New Year's Day for Saturday night live stream. I'll do, again, in the community section, I'll do a voting. And you guys can let me know what you think. Michael Koo says you'll contact me through the Patreon. Perfect. Protoman, do you want me to make my pick here or via Patreon? Just send it to me over Patreon. That way I don't forget. It'll be documented. That would probably be the easiest way to do that. And because you're number one too, so after I know what you want, then I could ask Christopher Quinn and everyone else. That's the most important too, is I have to go boom, boom, boom down the list. First pick, second picks. You know what's funny though? Actually, last week, every single person's first pick they got, which was crazy, except for obviously, I don't know what Tom Laney wanted, but I mean, 1, 2, 3 got their stuff at least. So that was pretty awesome. Michael Koo with the super chat, the gold super chat. Thanks for doing the giveaway and congrats to all the winners over the weeks. Thank you, Michael, for congratulating everyone too. That's really kind of you to do with the super chat. Mr. Bumblebot says he'll send it through Discord. Okay, perfect. Yeah, like again, if you guys have any ways of contacting me, Twitter, Instagram, just contact me through that, and or Patreon for the Patreon people is probably the easiest one. That way, at least I have it documented, so I have your address and everything, and we could roll from there. Dark Twilight with the super chat. All I want is Rotorstorm. I'm not a third-party guy. Well, you're number 4, so you have to hope that everyone else doesn't take the Rotorstorm. Maybe message them and try to convince them to get the other ones, I guess is the best way to put it. Tell them, please, I want the Rotorstorm, and that'll work out. Hopefully. Okay. We'll take some. How much time we got? Oh, we still have an hour left, so we're still good. We're still good. You know why? Because we had no news this week. That's why. So.
Well, again, it's in the middle of the week, so
we literally had like 3 days of news. Again, like I have it queued up on my iPad. I was just like, yeah, that's gonna be the other rescue bot I'm gonna have to talk about later. But I'll do that during the week and stuff. And I'm gonna have to probably pre-record some stuff too because I might be really busy during the holidays and everything. Haven't seen my family in a while, so it's an excuse. It's an excuse to do it. Let's grab another package here. Let's see which one from the gift box. If you guys have any super chats to me or Chris, just be sure to shoot them over. Let's go for one that's an obvious something something. So this is obviously shaped like something from Kingdom or Earthrise. We shall see what it is. So it's obviously Earthrise, we could tell, and there's a Decepticon logo at the top. So you'll be surprised with me, and it is... Oh, damn. Is that Airwaves? Nice. So the modulators I love to death because I've been trying to build a collection of them to build all these MicroMaster cities, and now we have another one. Thank you very much, Mikey and Louie. That's pretty awesome. I didn't know. Yeah, it's true. He is a Decepticon. I was like thrown for a second there. Dark Twilight with the super chat. Just let me know later in the day. I'm going to bed. Good night. All right. Good night. Take care. Thank you for coming. It usually takes about like last time it took about until Tuesday to have everything processed, but that was on Sunday. So I imagine Friday we'll probably have everything processed and ready to go. But then here's the catch. Post office is closed all weekend because of the holidays. So we probably won't have the stuff shipped out until, I don't know, Canadian Boxing Day, 26, 27. We'll see. We'll play it by ear, and we will see. Michael Koo with the super chat. Any idea on why BotBots Series 6 is being delayed? Are they saving this for when the BotBots animated series comes out? Good question, Michael. I was actually thinking about that the other day because I was really excited about the fact that BotBots was releasing a poop transformer, aka the Dukes. They literally took the pretzel transformer from BotBots and they painted it like poop to make it look like a cow pie. And it'll be the first ever official transformer that turns into you know what. So very, very interesting. I don't know. That news was revealed, man, I want to say the beginning of last year. Like it was a while back.
Yeah.
So I do agree. I think maybe they're just holding it off because they're waiting for that, BotBot series. That's the only explanation I could think of. We're going to be entering a little bit of a quiet period because now that the Rise of the Beast movie is being delayed till next year, what do we got? Think about it this. IDW is going to be not doing comics anymore. The Rise of the Beast movie is pushed off until next year, and we don't have any new Netflix stuff on the horizon. So what are we going to get? What are we going to get? So it's going to have to be something like that BotBots TV series or that other rumored TV series that supposedly we're going to be getting through Nickelodeon. So we don't know yet anything about that, but we'll find out soon enough, hopefully. And I think that's probably what's tied to it. There was a lot of listings that I talked about. There was like supposedly this toilet play set that we were going to be getting and a whole bunch of stuff and a food truck and everything. And no information surfaced. Like we got these listings, but no images or anything has surfaced about it. So hopefully we'll learn something in the near future because that might be our only Transformer fiction and ongoing series for the next 6 months or so, outside of just strictly toy related stuff, which again, Transformers is a toy brand before it is even a show and a cartoon and a movie. But I mean, at the same time, it would be nice to have some kind of, property with some ongoing fiction along to go with the toys. Even something like Christina likes Rescue Bots, even to have something like that, even having just Rescue Bots would be nice than nothing at all. Because we're really we're in a weird place right now where there's nothing. By doing that War for Cybertron stuff as Netflix series is and having it, bingeable, I think that kind of screwed up things where, each segment was 6 episodes. So you had 3 segments. So right away, that's 18 episodes. If they would have released one a week, we would have had at least 18 weeks of story that people could constantly talk about Transformers. Because they constantly dropped everything in one shot, everything would get binged and then people stopped talking about the series. So there's no water cooler kind of situation where people are like, oh, did you see the latest episode of Earthrise? It's all done in one shot. It's all one lump and then it's done. So now we have nothing. Now we got absolutely nothing to chew on in a lot of ways. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Let's grab another box. This one is huge. This one is huge and heavy. Very huge and very heavy. I have no idea what this is, and this one's actually corrugated cardboard. So
Okay.
let's just open this one up. I get a feeling this is going to be another WoW one. Oh. It's a Generation Selects box. Oh, what is this one? I don't recognize this one. It has nothing written on it. Is it sealed? Oh my goodness. Is there tape on here? Oh man. Where's my X-Acto? I don't recognize this one. That's weird. Why is it so heavy though? Why? There's a whole bunch of stuff in here.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Oh my god. This might be a really good one.
Hold on. There's a loose figure. So we have Cindersaur, the G1 figure, is in here. Very cool. We have, I believe this one was Blastbird, the other G1 figure of the Spark Bots. And what else do we got in here? Oh my god, there's a bunch of figures in here. They're all loose in here. One moment. What is this? Hold on a second. There's a card box in here. I'm scared to open this. Holy moly. Speak of the devil, it's filled with rescue bots.
Hey, there we go.
Not rescue bots, bot bots. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, there's a lot in here. There's a lot in here. Oh my god. I'm going to have to go through this slowly. At another time.
You just get like a whole box of bot bots, and now you come back with a whole box of bot bots.
Goodness. Jeez. Okay, thank you, Mikey and Louie. That's probably was so heavy. There's other stuff in here, though. What else is in here? There's some battle beasts in here. Old school battle beasts.
Wow.
Pretty good, pretty good. That's really good. What else we got in here? There's also looks like this is from Earthrise. It's the packaging from the planets. And then we got a loose figure in here too. What's this one? Oh, damn. So you're gonna find this amazing.
Okay.
I never owned the original Striker from Beast Machines. Yeah.
Really?
So I told them that I never owned the original Striker, and they got me one. Oh, wow. That is awesome. I own like every other version of Striker. I never owned that one. Never showed up in Quebec. And we got one more loose figure, and it is Generations Waspinator. Very cool.
Ah, there it is.
Because I guess that one's being retired now. Now that everyone's going to be getting the Kingdom one. That is awesome stuff. Oh my god, it's a mess here now. If you guys could see the floor right now. Woo! Thank you, Mikey and Louie. Wow, that is a lot of stuff. Those bot bots is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to redo my bot bots display. I'm going to have to just put everything everywhere. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. Thank you, Mikey and Louie. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. How much do we got left here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I still have 10 more to go. 2 more weeks of this craziness. So we'll have to save it for the week after. But yeah, thank you again, Mikey and Louie, for all the love and support to the podcast and sending all the stuff into the P.O. box. That is nuts. That is nuts. That is nuts. That is really cool. Let's look at the super chats in the meantime. Sorry if I wasn't looking at them. Someone's asking, are you single?
Oh, God. I don't want to talk about this.
She's single. That's it. Let's see what else. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. My goodness, I'm gonna have to go through all of this stuff. This is nuts. This is nuts, guys. My goodness. I just cleaned up again today. You know, after the Saturday craziness and everything, cleaning up everything and putting stuff in the recycling. And now I have to do it all over again. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah. So let's take some more super chat questions. We still got like a good 55 minutes left or so in the Wednesday. I know it's a different different from what people are used to during the weekends, but we're trying our best. We're trying our best
Mm-hmm.
with all the craziness. Let me just pull up some other stuff here in the meantime. In the meantime, Christina, why don't you tell us who your favorite Michael Bay movie character is? Because we didn't ask that one.
Oh, that's a very
Because they
good
all don't have
question.
character.
Laserbeak would be the
Yeah, it's true. He
closest.
actually had some lines.
Yeah.
Dark of the Moon Laserbeak. Did you ever get that the Dark of the Moon toy, that deluxe figure?
Yes, I do. I have it somewhere.
Very oddly shaped figure. Very weird.
Yeah.
Um, Michael Koo says you still got the Takara Tomy Beast Saga Beast Fight figures on Big Bad Toy Store. Yeah, I actually have a huge chunk of those. I'm only missing like one or two of those, and I have the whole line. That was like the Battle Beasts, like I think it was the 30th anniversary line in a lot of ways, and it unfortunately didn't do very well. Big Bad Toy Store ended up with a whole bunch of dead stock from some factory. We have a super chat from Collector Prime for 5 bones. How were Pretenders marketed in the USA and North America when the toys were based on Japanese Master Force cartoon? Was there other media? Well, actually, it's kind of chicken before the egg. Actually, the Pretenders were made first for the Western market, and then Master Force was an afterthought. The way it was marketed was Pretenders on both sides, both Autobots and Decepticons, were kind of an answer by Hasbro to what was happening at the time in the toy industry. There was this little company called Playmates that just had released this toy line in 1987 called Ninja Turtles. And it kind of took the world by storm, to say the least. You had to have lived through it to understand. Ninja Turtles took over the world. And it was just Hasbro going like, wow, it looks like kids really like mutants and monsters. And, because they read it, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so the Pretenders were kind of the answer to that in the toy aisle, to have something that's kind of monster, grotesque, mutant kind of stuff, but still have the superhero aspect that is of Transformers. And so that's what kind of became of the Pretenders. How was it marketed? Just go back and watch that old Pretender commercial. It's like, dipping the robots in this goo, and now they have human body, like organic coverings a la the Terminator almost, but then it separates and it's actually a shell, and the shell could go back on. And then in the Western explanation, when you look at the Marvel comics by Simon Furman and stuff, they kind of had this like symbiosis, almost like a stand even from like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where they could separate from the shell and the shell could do damage at the same time. But if you damage the shell, you damage the person. And, there was different varying ways that was handled, because like characters like Bludgeon, where we pretty much only know his Pretender shell and we rarely got to see the inner robot. And same thing with Thunderwing. They kind of didn't really play up the Pretender aspect. Mind you, those were later Pretender ideas. Same thing with the classic Pretenders. Master Force came afterwards, and Master Force was just, Takara going, hey, here's what we got. How do we write a story? Because when you look at it, the Pretender shell idea is kind of like, it's backwards in Master Force, where they're a human and they're tiny, and then they become this giant robot. There's no real shell covering the body idea in that one, unless you count like, later on in Victory, when we have the Decepticon gangsters and the Pretender shells with the Dino King and Dino Force, but that's a whole other story. So that's kind of how some Pretender stuff was done. And then, of course, IDW had a different take on it, and how Shockwave was behind it, and Thunderwing and all the craziness with that, with Stormbringer. But I don't want to go too deep into it. But I hope that kind of summarizes it a little bit. I love it. Like, I love when people are like, oh, Proto Man, like, you probably just do research before you do your segments, and stuff like that with history. It's like, brother, you have no idea what's going on in this empty head.
So, if you ever have a conversation with him, like I have in person, no, that's all just at the top, all at the
Yeah.
top of his head. It's
It's a
crazy.
little nuts. It's a little nuts. Someone said, "Is that a JoJo reference?" Because it's always, everything's a JoJo reference. Um, Yeah.
enough it is.
But yeah, like there's, I mean, the thing is that like, you know, and I have like the decoy armors here on my desk, which are like Hasbro's modern take on those Pretender shells with the metal hawk and stuff. And I love Pretenders. I don't know if I love them because I love Master Force so much, or I just love them because I think it's such a unique idea. But at the end of the day, they really were born because Hasbro, you know, they ruled the world with Transformers between 1984 and 1986. And then when Ninja Turtles came and all these other toy lines, Hasbro instead was playing catch up. Instead of people going like, oh, hey, you know, we got to be like Transformers. We got to have transforming gimmicks and make bootlegs and stuff. Now it was Hasbro going, we got to take Transformers and go, oh, wow, like Micro Machines with Galoob is doing really well. We got to do our own micro Transformers, you know, and micro play sets. You know, again, when you were talking Ninja Turtles just before, that's where the Pretender shells came from. In the 90s, we had Action Masters, and that was pretty much Hasbro looking at the action figure boom that was happening in the 90s because Toy Biz came around, started doing all these Marvel properties. They were selling them ridiculously cheap. I remember in Toys R Us, and this is Canadian dollars, so it was probably even cheaper in the States. The Marvel figures were $4 each back then. That means they were probably easily $3 to $2 back then. You know, so they were so cheap. And it was just like, and these were like brand new off the shelf. And then, of course, obviously, when the X-Men wave came out, they probably increased it to $4 or $5. But the point is that when they initially started that Marvel superheroes wave, they were like super cheap. You know, Marvel was really, you know, getting a lot of steam in the 90s. And Transformers was just like, we got to do action figures, you know, Action Masters, you know, and the rest was history. Orlando Chavez, the question for both of you, what about Transformers initially caught your attention? What keeps you coming back? Lay it on us, Chris.
What was the question again?
What about Transformers initially caught your attention, and what keeps you coming back?
Okay, so, oh my God. That's a very good question. What caught me initially, because I grew up watching Beast Wars as a child, I didn't really come back to it until I was a teenager, because the cast of both Maximals and Predacons, I recognized their stuff from their anime work many years prior, and realizing that, oh, Scott McNeil is actually these guys. I should actually watch it. And that caught me by surprise, and I stuck with it ever since. And because that I usually follow most of like animation, like writers, directors, or voice actors, it's what really keeps me coming back. But specifically with Transformers, because now that I've basically dipped my toes in the fandom, I come back when it comes to like, you know, certain characters or like certain pieces of fiction. But regarding the new stuff, I haven't really gotten into most of it. I think the most recent thing I've gotten into was probably just Rescue Bots Academy, and that's about it. Cyberverse is just something I'm just gonna wait until it's finally over, and then I
It's
can
technically
watch it
over
all.
now, supposedly. So yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't. It might come back in some shape or form. You never know.
Stinkfist69 says, gotta go. Have a good evening, everyone. Please come back, Chris. And thanks for coming on later, Proto. No problem. And then what keeps you coming back to Transformers?
What keeps me coming back? Um, Really just the toy aspect of it, because normally Hasbro would release something like Kingdom actually brought me
Well,
back
it's Beast Wars.
after being away from it and focusing on other stuff that I like. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll come back and like see what's going on. Oh, there's a bunch of new shows that I will watch way later. And yeah, it's just really just
You've
whatever
not
toy that
seen the War for Cybertron Netflix series with Beast Wars yet?
I
Yeah,
really
you're
am
not
gonna
gonna.
watch it
You
in.
who likes voices, you're gonna be very disappointed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard. I
that's gonna be a
cannot
tough pill to swallow. There's actually footage of
Mhm.
you on the internet from 2010. I did it's on Vangelis's channel. I did a panel about the history of Transformer video games. And during the Beast Wars segment of it, I'm showing the opening of the PlayStation game. And the voice acting on that is terrible, by the way. They didn't get David Kay, Scott McNeil, Gary, the crew. They got, obviously, we'll call them ringers. Um, and as I'm playing that, Missy over here is having a meltdown. And Vangelis, who was the whole time was recording my panel, turns the camera to her, and you just see her like laughing in her hands because of how crazy it was. It's somewhere. I think it's called TFCon 2010 Video Game Panel or VG Panel or something like that.
That's the.
You'll see her on there. You'll
Mhm.
see her from like 11 years ago. Oh my goodness, 11 years ago.
I, bar- I barely
Yeah,
aged.
she looks exactly the same.
So
You won't recognize me. You'll recognize the voice. That's about it. And the standing on stage talking for an hour straight. But that's about it. As for me, what initially caught my attention, I've said it many times. Like, I saw the '86 movie. That was my first brush with Transformers. Went to the theater with my next door neighbor, and it was literally seeing Hot Rod transform for the first time. It was just like, if you're gonna ride Dano, ride in style, because like literally in that movie up to that point, transformation is shown very sparingly. Like the first time you really see transformation is Ironhide, and it's hidden behind like a panel, and then you see like Soundwave transform, but he kind of turns into like a box. So that didn't really impress me. And when Megatron, when he transformed into a gun, it was kind of limited too. Like it was not even believable. But Hot Rod, it was like, he's running. If you're going to ride Dano, ride style. And then it's just like super, like the animation budget went all in on that one. And it just looked so cool. Maybe it was because the music was playing with Dare, maybe because the kid had the same name as me. I didn't even remember that back then. But it clicked. And then I was like, I got to have that toy. I got to have that toy. I got to have that red and yellow robot. I want everything to do with this. And when I left the theater, I was just like, to me, and it was the same thing even with Ninja Turtles when I collected those later in my life. Sometimes I would see something on the screen and I would say to myself, and this is like almost like the mechanic in me years later, going like, how could that be transferred into real life? Like, how could what I'm seeing on the screen truly exist as a toy from an engineering standpoint? With Ninja Turtles, I remember I liked Raphael as a kid, but the first Ninja Turtle toy I ever bought was Michelangelo, because as a kid, I was like, how are they going to do those nunchucks? Like, how would that work as a toy, like in the toy form? I'm thinking like, oh, is it going to have little chains or whatever? No, it was just like a little piece of brown plastic holding two sticks together. But, back then, that's how my brain thought back then. Like, even then, like, so seeing Transformers was just me going like, how could, looking at Ultra Magnus and going like, how does he go from that to that? That doesn't make any sense. And I didn't know that there was like a white Optimus involved there, like in between that, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, where does that truck go? How does that work? Like stuff like, again, Blaster was a little more realistic and easier to understand, or Soundwave, but some of the others, it seemed like mad science to me. So that's what initially caught me more than anything. Then, of course, Ninja Turtles came out, Power Rangers, the X-Men boom, the arcade boom of Street Fighter took me away from Transformers. But what brought me back? Beast Wars. Beast Wars was just this, it was the 90s. A lot of cartoons in the 90s were now not just written at a younger demo. We have to thank Batman the Animated Series for that. Batman the Animated Series really kind of said, hey, we could write something for an older demo and still sell millions of Kenner Batman figures. And then they did the same thing with the X-Men cartoon, with Gargoyles, with the Spider-Man cartoon. And I could go on and on. But Beast Wars was part of that. Beast Wars was part of that bubble of more adult written shows that are still selling toys, but are not being stupid for the demographic. So that's what really appealed to me with Beast Wars. Obviously, season 1 is really trying to sell toys and find their ground and establish the names of the characters. But by season 2 and 3, I mean, geez, it's there is, season 2 of Beast Wars. There is not a single anything of Transformers that is equal to that, in my opinion. There is nothing that even
Mm-hmm.
comes close. I literally sat. I want to give a shout out to Jeremy of TFCon staff, formerly Jeremy. I remember I was sitting with Jeremy, and he's a hardcore G1 guy, and I was sitting across from him at the bar, and I was like, I want you to explain to me why the G1 cartoon is better than Beast Wars' cartoon. Like, and I like rationally explain it to me. Oh, well, the characters are so iconic. I'll give you that. Cars are really cool. Take it from me. I'm a mechanic. Cars are really cool. You know, if you ask me, would you prefer a cheetah or a Lamborghini? I'd probably take the Lambo. You know, also because it would be cruel to have a cheetah. But that's beside the point. It's like, but at the same time, tell me how complex Sideswipe's character is to Optimus Prime. What's Optimus Prime's relationship to Cliffjumper? What's Cliffjumper's relationship to Bumblebee? You can't. You can't tell me that. But with Beast Wars, every single one of those characters has a connection. You could tell me, you could take Dinobot, use him as a foundation, and you could tell me how Dinobot is with Rhinox, how Dinobot is with Rat Trap, how Dinobot is with Primal, how Dinobot is... I think the only one he never dealt with was, I think, Air Razor. I think that's the only one that they never really had...
They never
Yeah, there never was a
together.
moment that could establish it, but literally most of the cast you can. And to me, that's what makes the best shows, where you could really figure out how, like, you could almost write the fan fiction because you know those characters so well, even if you're not a good writer, because you know those characters. Another good example of it, and it's a really not, it's another Bob Forward written series, who worked on Beast Machines and Beast Wars, but Biker Mice from Mars. Biker Mice from Mars, when you watch the first like 5 episodes of that, you know those characters. Like you know exactly how those characters are with each other and with everyone else in the show. Granted, it's a much smaller cast, but it's probably a good writing example to see like how you could write something where not everything is vague and characters are open-ended. That's why, like, for years people would look at the Decepticon characters and like those characters more than the Autobots, because at least you knew Starscream. You knew how Starscream was. You knew how Megatron was. You knew how Soundwave was. But then after you get past those 3, tell me Skywarp's personality. Oh, he's a thug, right? Or he's, So that's always been the biggest appeal to me with Transformers, is when they write something that's really, really good. And what keeps bringing me back is engineering. Just that constant chase of the next best version of a figure. Me and Jaws D talked about it, how like, Hot Rod, his original Classics toy in 2006, up to that moment with the Studio Series 1, you're talking a 15-year journey. A 15-year journey of engineering, of masterpieces and everything. Even Studio Series 86 Hot Rod has engineering from animated Rodimus baked in there, has engineering from MPO9 Rodimus baked in there. Like, there's so much going on, and I love looking at that journey of buying those figures and seeing how they tweak and change everything along the way to make that best version one day. And I love that. And that's like the mechanic side of me, though, because I like to take things apart and put them back together and understand how they work. So that's my long-winded answer of that. Stinkfist669 says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Michael Koo with the super chat for 5 bones. Will Takara Tomy ever reissue Super Fire Convoy or Hasbro reissue original Armada figures with their lights and sounds? Super Fire Convoy was reissued, actually. It was reissued 3 years ago. They gave it a slightly different paint scheme that was slightly more show accurate, but supposedly there was a lot of QC issues. And there's just not a lot of them out there, but that was reissued. As for Armada stuff, man, those, those are 20-year-old molds now, so they technically should be reissued. Because when we were getting reissues of G1 was only 15 years old. Yeah. I don't know. Like, the question that I'd have to ask you is, who would you want to get reissued outside of Unicron? Because that's always going to be everyone's answer, or Tidal Wave. But like, would people want to buy, like, if they did like a classic packaging reissue of like Hot Shot, would people want to buy that? I don't know. It's and not would you? Okay. My only
And
problem with that
actually,
is, and this is something we talked about on Aaron Archer's podcast with the Toy Armada. We were saying how, like, man, like, you bought that original Hot Shot. It came with a comic book, it came with a trading card, it came with a mini con, and then it came with the big bulk figure. And that was the deluxe price point of $10. If you released Hot Shot today and you tried to mimic all of those things, including some kind of comic book, a trading card, the two figures, and that much larger bulbous packaging that was Armada, I think like Hasbro's gonna have to charge $40 for a deluxe, because I'm already seeing, like, look at Cheetor. Cheetor, like, obviously he's on sale right now, but I think Cheetor was like $20 deluxe class, the Beast Wars reissue, retro reissue. I think that is for the American market. It's even more here. It's $37 for us, which again, anyways, we get screwed when it comes to pricing, but it's it's kind of hard to figure. Like, I could see, and then when you mentioned lights and sounds, that's where it really gets dicey, because the second you have to put lights and sounds, that makes it slightly more expensive, and it's an excuse for them to charge more. A lot of modern Transformers today don't have lights and sounds for that specific reason. Not to mention, when you have lights and sounds with a toy, you want to be able to show that in the packaging, meaning you want to be able to show through the packaging, oh, hey, it does lights and sounds. So you got to include batteries with the toy to be able to have like a demo while the toy is there. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to have to deal with putting in batteries, using that as part of the expense for the toy. Like, I have actually, do I have them here? I have some of the Hasbro batteries, which are green. I have a few of them, because every time I buy toys, I have to right away take out the batteries from older toys and stuff, praying that they didn't explode inside the figure. I don't know if you remember the animated Bumpin' Battlers. If you remember those ones, they were like these, you push them and they flipped up and stuff. All of those had batteries in them. I bought a collection like 6 years ago. Every single one of them, the batteries exploded. And what sucked about that is you can clean them and fix them so that you could put new batteries in and it'll work. But sometimes if they explode in the battery acid, if it gets to the circuitry, then you're screwed. So like, I think like 2 out of like the 6, I think it was, because I remember it was Optimus, Bumblebee, Bulkhead. I think there was a Jazz. That was the one I was missing. Jazz is the hardest to get. But there was a whole bunch. I remember one of them was like really badly, like just, oof, it just ate it away. Brutal stuff. Downright Superb wants to know, Proto, I love G1 and was born 10 years after. The concept of characters is many things. G1 had so many different unique characters. Well, that's definitely true. There's a lot of characters with G1. It was more fun to contemplate than contemplate. By the way, I grew up with Beast Wars. No, look, I grew up with G1, and I think my love of Beast Wars over G1 comes from more of a storytelling and character development. And, when you get into Beast Wars, also, it kind of revolutionized ball joints and engineering for Transformers. But I won't deny, look, G1 was, I think, 9 years. Beast Wars was, if you count Beast Machines as part of the Beast era, Beast Wars is at best 6 years. So it has way more product on its end. But granted, G1 had less development time because the first 2 waves, all of it was previously existing toys. So it was also easier from that perspective. But look, my favorite character is Hot Rod. So, it's my top 3 favorite Transformers of all time. There's not a Beast Wars character on there. Beast Wars probably cracks into the top 5, but... and that's probably Dinobot, Cheetor, Primal's on there, Beast Wars Megatron, Beast Wars. Like, I think someone asked before, who's the Thanos of the Transformers universe, and I always say it's Beast Wars Megatron. Beast Wars Megatron. I told David K to his face years before we had the Avengers movie because I love Thanos, I love Jim Starlin, and I told David Kay, I was like, if they ever do, because some other guy did Thanos' voice in the Silver Surfer cartoon, and I hated it. But I told David, I was like, if they ever do Thanos in the Marvel movies, you need to audition for that. You need to audition. And I told him that. I was like, you got to audition for it, because when I read Thanos in the comics, I hear your voice. I hear your Beast Wars Megatron. Where the guy who did, I forget his name, but the guy who did Thanos in the Silver Surfer cartoon, he did like it sounded like Beast Wars Megatron. Like he was going down the same vibe, but he made like a sappy version of him. It's like if Beast Wars Megatron was reading a novel and he was sad. You know, it's kind of hard to describe. But it's just, I always felt that that David Kay should have been Thanos. Still to this day, look, Josh Brolin did an incredible job. Infinity War, incredible movie. I love it. As a Thanos fan, I think he did a fantastic job. But I still would have loved to have David Kay, just because that guy is so cool, so cool, and yet, like I never get starstruck around him. It's so weird because like. Such a cool dude. Such a cool dude. Michael Koo says Armada Hotshot and Armada Starscream. I don't know what he was. I was probably answering someone else's question. But Media Max with the super chat. What hard decade will kids not like toys at all? I think, look, my father explained it to me like this. He said, when your generation started going into the 90s, you saw a lot less kids interested in die-cast cars. Because that's what my dad collected, right? And my dad said his generation, he saw when we were going into the 70s, because he was a 60s, 70s kid. When he was going into the 70s and the 80s, he said, my generation was collecting die-casts, buying action figures for the first time. What were we abandoning? Going fishing, playing stickball, like all that, dare I say, Tom Sawyer kind of, 1940s, 1950s. Every generation, I think, abandons the typical play pattern into something new. 80s and 90s kids were the action figure boom. It bled over into the 2000s a little bit. It kind of was on life support when Toys for Life started to become a thing, with Skylanders and Amiibo and Lego Dimension and Disney Infinity. It kind of kept people buying toys a little bit. And then the extension of that, of these statues that do nothing but are pop culture, Funko Pop, that kind of keeps it alive too in a lot of ways. People still buying plastic and collecting it. But I do believe that the action figure collecting era will end at some point. Maybe not this generation, but definitely the next, as we move more and more towards tablets being more important to kids and VR and whatever the next device or, look, when I was a kid, playing with my Game Boy back in 1990, if you would have told me, oh, there's going to be a device that you don't need batteries, you just charge it quickly, it's going to be full color, and you get a zillion demos to download for free. And tons of games to download for free. And you never have to go to Zellers or Toys R Us or, whatever back then that was open in the 90s, to get it. Like, it's all free. And that's what these devices are. Mm-hmm. If you get an iPad as a kid and you have an internet connection, you have Pokemon Go. You got Angry Birds. You got all these mobile games that are free. Granted, there's, it's free to play, but there's a predatory buying system to it, but it's all free. Where as a kid, if I had a Nintendo, if I didn't buy a game for $59.99, which back then equals about $90 with inflation, I had to go rent it for $5, which with inflation is still about $7 for one day. Rent it Friday, you have to return it Saturday. That was literally like a standard in my household with my mom. We would go to the video store. She'd rent a movie. I'd rent a game. And then we'd return it back afterwards. But so that's just it. And even then, that would be impossible for me to imagine back then. Imagine me now looking at a tablet trying to predict what the next 20 years will be. It's impossible. It's impossible because it'll be something they'll probably, like, VR might reach the next level, or augmented reality might reach the next level. Who knows? We might have systems that are doubling as projectors for a room. Like, you'll just buy like a system, like something like a Siri that'll sit in the corner of your room, and you just activate it and your room becomes like an environment to play in. Because we're slowly going more in that direction of that, where there's more of a physical kind of transition. Let's see what else we have here. Michael Koo says we need character model accurate Wild Wheel with his full outfit. Yeah, well, Cyberverse got screwed with so many. That's the thing, like, Chris, that you're not gonna like, because you're gonna watch Cyberverse, and if you like any of those characters, 50% of them have terrible toys. Like, they don't even have good toys. That's the thing that sucks.
I mean, I looked at the toys already, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a lot of really good
So,
characters that don't have good toys. Like, if you're like, oh, I like Slipstream, good luck. You have like an ultra class that's out of scale with everyone. Oh, Windblade, the literally the one of the focuses of the show. She doesn't have a decent deluxe class toy. Like, they it's so weird
exactly.
the way they marketed it. So weird. So weird. Gary Crawford did Thanos in the Silver Surfer animated series. Thank you, Michael. I was one. He's such a weird depiction. Such a weird depiction, because it's I see they were trying to do Thanos Quest, simping to death in a lot of ways. That's what they were trying to do, which is accurate. But man, the voice work was weird, because he's supposed to be also a very smart and epic character, and that didn't come across really. Michael Koo says some NES games costed $80. Oh, dude, Street Fighter 2. When Street Fighter 2 came out for the Super Nintendo, it was $100 back in 1993. Think about that. $100 back in 1993. That means it was like probably like $140. There is not a single video game brand new out today that's $140, outside of some like crazy special edition that comes with like, a statue or something. This was just the raw game, 2 MB of memory on a Super Nintendo cartridge, and it was epic. I won't argue that. I love Street Fighter, but I lived that life back then. Downright Superb Proto, what did you guys think of Matrix Resurrection? Can that type of story rejuvenation affect the Transformers brand? I didn't see that movie yet. I probably won't see it for a while, because I'm not really a big movie guy. Did it do well? Were people, because from my perspective, but I don't like to use my perspective as the norm, I wasn't excited about it. I was kind of like, oh, okay, they're doing something with the Matrix franchise again. I'll wait till it goes on TV or something, or if someone, if Bell contacts me and says, hey, you have a free movie rental, and I'll watch it or something. Because I'm not really big on movies unless it kind of just falls in my lap, or I really, really want to see it. But were people really excited about it? Were like, oh my God, the Matrix is back? Because me personally, I didn't feel that vibe. I didn't feel like people were like freaking out. Like, I think that ship has sailed a while back. I think people were bored already by the third movie. I think, back then. I don't know. What about you, Chris? You lived through that too.
My father was excited
Who was?
about it.
Okay.
My father is excited.
But what
Yeah.
about other people? Did you feel like there was a buzz around it, or do you think it was just kind of like...
No, not really. Around my group of people, like, no, there really wasn't a buzz. But mainly it was because that no one's going to go into a theater, especially with where we are
It's
right
true. That does affect the
now.
excitement. Yeah.
I know people went in line to go see No Way Home, and I'm like, I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to step foot into a cinema ever until this whole thing
I
is
do agree
over.
with you there. Like that. Well,
Yeah.
No Way Home. That's something that that'll be on Disney Plus and all that stuff very soon. Like I was shocked.
It's already.
The new Venom movie is already out on DVD. Like, boom. Like,
I was
yeah, it's
shocked.
already. So I was like, oh, okay. If all I have to do is wait like a month and a half or 2 months, I'll do that. Like, I don't care. Like, it's nothing. The way the big V is right now, these months are just peeling away like crazy. Before I know it, it'll be out on DVD, and I'll just watch it then. So, I mean,
Exactly.
look, something like The Matrix, I feel that that was a brand. It was based off of of an indie book that then became a Marvel book afterwards. It had its following. It was revolutionary in terms of cinematography. Its following as a fandom wasn't that strong. They did The Matrix Online, which was a video game, which you could kind of play in that world. And then that kind of got discontinued. It was one of the first MMORPGs. And it's something that I didn't know if that fandom was still around, that were people really sitting around all these years since the last movie going like, oh man, we need more Matrix. If you would have told me we'd never get a Matrix movie again after seeing the last one, which felt like it was a final conclusion, I would be like, okay, yeah, it has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. A lot of some of the greatest stories of all time have that, and I understand saying, oh, you always want them to be wanting more, but I didn't really feel like I wanted more. But then again, I'm also the kind of guys like does Avatar need a sequel? I don't think Avatar needs a sequel either, but we're getting that too. So it is what it is. The Matrix Resurrection is in theaters and on HBO Max. So there, if you have HBO Max, you could also watch it on. I don't have any of that stuff.
On Canada?
Oh, you can't even get that.
HBO
Okay.
Max.
So that shows what I know.
Yeah, you have to get it through Crave, which is from Bell. So it has HBO stuff, but I don't think it has the entire HBO library. That's the issue. So
you probably have to use a VPN to change your location then.
Yes.
Which I'm not sponsored by, even though everyone else has sponsored by VPN. Oh, man. Orlando Chavez, I was super excited and watched it this morning, but The Matrix is my all-time favorite. Oh, okay. Well, so there is people that are... I don't know. I went to all of those movies. I saw them all in theaters, and I obviously traveled with all my big sci-fi geek friends, and I just never got the vibe that there was like a community and, there's this whole fandom that exists and there's conventions, but I guess I missed something. I didn't get the memo. I had a friend who was a mechanic in mechanic school that really liked the movies. I remember he loved Trinity. Loved that character. Shout out to Jomar, my Filipino brother. He was obsessed with Trinity. He was like, could you find a figure of her? And I was like, I don't know. I think Todd McFarlane did something back in the day, something like, the pose or something. Let's see here. Michael Koo says you can't get HBO Max in Canada. That's crazy. Well, Chris said there's some kind of, if you get a VPN, anything's possible with the internet, so, I mean, how many times has there been like cell phone apps and games that are region only and all you have to do is just, change your region. Media Max, Proto, do you think the world will go back to normal next year? When do you expect to go hard on conventions again? Look, I would like to have that answer. If you would have asked me this exact same question in 2020 of December, I would have said, yeah, I hope that we get back to normal in 2021. I could go back to conventions and everything. And well, look how that turned out. I don't want to sound negative. Look, as we stand right now, different pockets of the world are going into lockdowns again. I feel like we're just the hamster in the wheel. Nothing's ending. Get your shots and then what? It's just, oh, now you got, I don't want to go into the rant. I don't want to go into it, but to me, it's just, I hope, brother, I really do. I really hope that next year things get back to normal. I really do. This is the most I've ever gone without going to a convention. Ever since I was a kid, I was going to some kind of convention. My dad used to bring me to comic book shows in the Delta Hotel in downtown Montreal, ran by Elwin, I think his name was. Shout out to Elwin of Million Comics back in the day. Used to, and we're talking man, when did Death of Superman happen? What was that, 1992, 91? That's how far back, and I have not missed a convention since then. I've always gone to some kind of con, some kind of show, something. And then this just cold turkey. No TF cons, no Otakuthon Montreal, no Anime North Toronto, no, my own shows that I run, no Montreal, Retro Expo or High Score Con, nothing. Zero. So trust me. Trust me. I would love it to return back to normal. I really would. I really would. Because it's something that I really enjoyed, that was really fun to do, and all of that went away. All of that went away really quick. And there's still people that are going to the shows, but in case you haven't noticed, part of the reason why we're in these lockdowns and all of this stuff is because we're constantly going back into the hamster wheel. If you're sick, you wouldn't go out, And the argument that you would give with someone who's sick is, well, why don't you go out when you're sick? Well, I don't want to infect other people. That's right. Don't go out. Just do your bare minimum, go to work, get your groceries, go home. That's it. I understand people are saying, oh, this is the new normal. This is the new normal we live in. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. It's not the new normal. It's like saying it's like if you were sick, like if you had a cold and someone turned to you like, we better get used to it. That's how you are going to be from now on. It's the new normal, No, we're going to reach a normal, but we all have to behave, It's like there's like people were surprised. Like I got a message from someone that was saying it's weird. I don't want to say their name because they were part of staff, but they were saying it's weird to go to a TFCon where you weren't there. And I told them, I'm like, look, that tells you more than anything. If this guy with this world isn't going to Transformer conventions, maybe you should take a step back and think for a second and go, maybe there's something there, Maybe there's something there. I like to use my head with my decisions, Maybe there's something there. I am willing to sacrifice not going if it means we get a little closer to that finish line of normality again. That's how I've always felt. That's how I've always felt, is that if I have to miss something once just so I could get, mind you, I have a lot of self-control. That's always how I've been. People who know me in real life, they know I'm not a smoker, a drinker, or anything like that. I have a lot of self-control. Maybe other people just don't have self-control. Maybe if they miss a con, it's the end of the world for them, and it's everything. But to me, I'm willing to wait, because me not being there is actually a good thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. And Trevor, to save us with the super chat, Trevor Stasik with the super chat, Merry Christmas. Would you ever think of hosting your own convention? Maybe host your own virtual convention? I don't like virtual conventions. I think they're kind of silly. I'll just say that right now. I've helped with virtual conventions, but I'm not a fan of them myself personally. I think, what we do right here is a panel in itself, and we do it every week. So, hosting my own conventions, I don't want to undercut what Colin's doing. If Colin ever stops doing TFCon, and I mean stops doing TFCon completely, yeah, I have the experience. I run my own conventions here in Montreal, but they're Montreal Retro Expo. It's a 80s and 90s toy show. Montreal High Score Con. It's a video game convention. I run both of those in Montreal. If, I have the experience and the knowledge and the connections to do that, to run conventions. But I also don't want to undercut my friends who already do that, be it both on the BotCon side and the TFCon side, because I have friends on both of those camps. So for me to then come out of nowhere and go, come to ProtoCon, the Proto Man run Transformer convention. I'm not going to do that. Not unless, I'd only do that if there's a power vacuum, if there's a need for that. If there is no convention, then I'll do it, because I know that I could do it proper, and I know I'd have people that would help me do that. A lot of people. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by a lot of talented, intelligent, and hardworking individuals. That's the one thing, is that if I ever did it, it wouldn't be successful because of me. It would be successful because of the people I'd surround myself with. And there's a lot of really talented, Ultra Primal, for one, would be someone who would help me out with it, I know for sure. But many others, having Aaron Archer there would be, he'd be guest number one, literally. He'd be right there. Ultra Primal just wrote Proto's Robot Convention. God, no. I think we could think of a
Oh,
better name than that. I think we could think of a better name. Like, I wouldn't want to even have my name in it. That'd be silly. You have to have something that conveys, like that's the like TFCon before it was called TFCon, it was called Transformers Con. You have to have something that conveys what is the theme. If you, that's always how, that's always how it is. But it's something where I'd only do it if there was a power vacuum. If Colin says, you know what, I'm done, I'm retiring from it, then I'll jump in. And I'll take care of it. But otherwise, nah, not yet. I'm holding it down on the Montreal side of things, and I wouldn't run a Transformer convention in Montreal anyhow. It's just the market is not there. It really isn't. It's come up a lot. Protomania. Oh, good lord, the names here. BotCon 2, Cybercon actually existed. That was one. That was New York City, I want to say, was Cybercon. There was a lot of them. Slagcon, no, people won't like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I have guys coming to the door. So where the slags at? It's like, oh, geez. Yeah. It's not going to be good for the newspaper.
Nope.
See someone like here, Christopher Quinn, would you take over TFCon? I think Colin would want to sell it to me and I wouldn't want to have to buy anything. Because to me, the name and the equity wouldn't matter because I know all those dealers. So all I would be buying is a name, and to me, a name isn't important. Look, BotCon was rocking for years, and now no one cares about the name. People, if anything, people get BotCon and TFCon mixed up, and BotCon's been around for, 20 years minimum. And yet, but people are mixing up BotCon and TFCon, so name doesn't matter. It really just has to do with the vibe, and whatever I would call that show would just have a good vibe. That's all. The basic structure of what makes a good convention, which is the bread and butter, number one, the dealer room. Got to have a good dealer room. That's what most people are there for. So to have a good dealer room, to have a couple of guests, mix it up, one voice actor, some comic book people, really mix it a little bit there. And then after that, it's all about the fans. Because I see the really, really, really successful conventions, like the crazy successful ones, you want to be a small percentage of that. So you look at, like, if you ever go to, like, your big Comic-Cons or your fan expos or whatever, the one thing you notice, and this is the key word, loitering. And loitering is a good thing because they're hanging out. They feel like they belong. They paid admission just to hang out with other people because you created that environment. So you want to create a convention that people pay admission just to loiter, just to hang out. And that's when you created a good show. If you create a show where people come in, just check out the deal room, didn't find anything they like to buy, and they leave and they go home, you didn't make a great show. You made a one-day trade show, as I call it, which I do those too, where people pay admission, they go in, they look for toys. If they didn't see what they like, they go home. That's kind of how that works. Hope I didn't go too much on a long rant there. Michael Koo with the super chat. Do you think Hasbro would include GoBots into the Legacy line? That's only if they have trademarks that they could use. Aaron Archer talked about it, how he wanted to use Leader 1. He talked to the name legal guys, and they said, yeah, you could use Leader 1, and the rest was history. So it really has to do with if Evan or Mark or any of them go, hey, we want to do Crasher, we want to do Turbo, we want to do Coptor, we want to do, and look, we've gotten some of those characters in the past. We've gotten Coptor as a mini-con with one of the Fun Pub exclusives. We got Crasher. They called her Fracture instead because they couldn't have Crasher. I think we'll get GoBots again. I think at some point they'll show up. Maybe not in Legacy, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of the Transformer Legacy to include GoBots. But I could see a Generation Selects, Turbo or Scooter. If we ever get a Scooter Transformer or a motorcycle Transformer that could be retooled into a Scooter, I could see Scooter from GoBots being done. Or my boy Vanguard. Love to see Vanguard. He's my favorite. But yeah, I could see it. I could see it happening. Downright Superb wants to know, Proto, my TF collection is front and center in my place. It's unavoidable. Do you conceal your collection? My whole house is a collection. When my most boring place in my house is my living room. My living room is a couch, a futon, and that's it. I didn't even hang up posters in there, like movie posters or something. It's the most boring part. But and my kitchen's boring, and my obviously my dining area is boring. But anywhere else in the house, it reeks of toy collector. So it's not hidden at all. I sometimes would love, because this room's a basement, and I've always played with the idea. I'd love to make like I want to take off the door that's at the top of the basement door. And I've seen this online. I forget, it was I saw this many years ago. Christina's gonna know what I'm talking about. There was a show called Anti-Gravity Room on YTV back in the day. It was hosted by PJ Phil. And PJ Phil went to this guy who was like a horror collector. And what he did was he took his door off of his room, off of the hinges, and put a door that doubled as like a shelving unit. So when it's closed, it looks like it looks like a shelf. It looks like a shelf. And what he did was he did this cool thing where to open the door, he has to move a statue and it unlocks the hinge. And then it would open. And I was always going like, man, that'd be so cool. Like, it just looks like a normal shelving unit, and it's a secret entrance to the Transformer cave, if you will, because this is all in the basement. But then I also looked at it and go, man, that looks like it takes a lot of space, So it's like if I open it to get access, now I have no access to my manga room and everything, which I have a manga room. I know that sounds crazy. And then I have a video game room, and then I have a miscellanea room. And then I have a doubles room, as I call it. That's the room that we put all the convention stuff. I have a crazy house. It's I don't hide anything. Let's put it this way. What about you, Chris?
I only just have this room.
If you had your own place, let's say you had a 12 and a half, how crazy would it be?
Not that much. I would just have a spare room just to put. Yeah, just to isolate it. That's why I don't have a very boring living room, dining room, kitchen, and probably even a guest room, and even my bedroom.
Like, I live in a split level. When you enter the main floor, it's boring. The only thing geek about my kitchen is if you look at the fridge, there's some, Power Ranger magnets on it or something, and some Mario magnets on it. But otherwise, there's no indication that a geek lives there. Living room is extremely boring. Yeah, my DVD collection might say otherwise, but, otherwise it's pretty boring looking. Dining room is boring. It's just, marble table with lights. We play Magic on it once in a while. It's only until you get into the other floors do you start going, oh, okay, there's stuff here. So, yeah, the Ultra Primal's been to my place. It's overwhelming. It's a little much. You had to sleep over when we took the big trip to HasCon. Yeah,
okay.
Because it was a long drive ahead of us. Let's put it that way. For that show, for a very weird convention. We have 2 minutes left. Let's get some super chats in before it's 2 minutes. Any questions for Chris over here? Someone should ask. We got 2 minutes left in our last stream before Christmas comes up.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of craziness. I still have a lot of, oh my God, I got to clean up everything after we're done here today. Time is it right now? Yeah, I'm going to have to, man. I have work tomorrow too. That's what's crazy. I still have work. Afterwards, it's going to be done. Let's see. See here, Mikey, who's one of our donators of all the presents, Mikey and Louie says, every room in our house is full of geek stuff, including the living room, dining room, and all the rooms we need. Hopefully not in the bathroom. That's when you... I had a friend, shout out to Robbie. He had almost in every room in his house. I remember like in his kitchen, he had like mask figures and stuff. And in his bathroom, he had this funny, like, it was like a poster where if you're standing, because men stand to do their business, you would read, and it would say, if you're standing, you're clearly Batman. And then if you were sitting on the toilet, you were reading another thing, and it said, if you're sitting, you're clearly Wonder Woman. It was a funny thing he did there. It was funny guy. Here we go. It's true, yeah. Might as well ask this question because you're not going to be on that segment. What is your top 5 Transformers of 2021, Chris?
Oh no! I was hoping no one asked me this question.
So here, just to help you out, everything with Kingdom is 2021. Everything Studio Series 86 is 2021. All the Shattered Glass stuff, It would say stuff I have it memorized already because I had to remember it all.
Okay, so it's not going to be of any
Okay.
order. Uh, so T-Rex
Beast
being
Machines.
one, yes. The 86 Cup that is
The
coming
new one,
out,
yeah.
the new one. We see Deep
Mm.
Cover,
The Netflix one or
yes.
the Generation Selects? Netflix one, okay.
Netflix one, yes. Let me see who else. HasLab Unicron,
Yep,
that's
yep.
2021.
Came out
Yep.
March. Showed up on everyone's doors. March, April.
And Shattered Glass
Okay,
Megatron.
there you go. In no particular order. So there you go. So we
No
got, so
particular.
it's Deep Cover, HasLab Unicron, Shattered Glass Megatron, T-Rex, and what was the last one?
Oh wait. So hold
T-Rex,
on.
Shattered Glass
T-Rex.
Megatron, Deep Cover, HasLab Unicron, and Cup.
Cup.
Studio Series 86 Cup. The new one, the buzzworthy Bumblebee version, which is already
Bumblebee
out in
one.
some places in Singapore.
Mhm.
Alrighty, so there's her top 5, and we're done. We're done. We're past the 2-hour mark. Again, everyone, thank you all for coming, for the craziness. I know this was kind of last second, out of nowhere. I did a voting thing. We're gonna do a voting to figure out what we're gonna do for New Year's. Let me know if you guys would be down for that. In the next couple of days, we're gonna be doing, again, I'll just put up the image here. Where is it? We're going to be doing the top 5 Transformers of 2021 with me and Jaws D. We're probably going to put out that episode either on the 26th or the 27th. I'm leaning more on the 27th is when it's going to go live, just because I'm going to be so busy that day. People still work, amazingly, even during this. So we'll definitely check that out. But again, if you haven't done your voting, be sure to go do your vote on that specific video. That's what the thumbnail looks like. If you're curious, it has the big 2021 vote now. So click on that one and go do your vote. If you're a Patreon member or a YouTube member, again, just let me know and we'll give you a shout out too with your vote and everything. Thank you, Chris, for coming and regaling us with your presence and everyone else. And thanks again for Symbiote Studios for sponsoring this video along with Hasbro. Unfortunately, I don't have the Hasbro sponsorship thing here outside of the thing in the corner, but it'll be in the post. Thanks everyone for coming. If you want to support the podcast, again, patreon.com/protoman or be a YouTube member. One or the other works. Be sure to check out the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. If you haven't caught that yet, that's a separate channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Go subscribe. That way we could hit 1,000 on that channel and then Aaron could actually make some money. We've been doing this for free. Been doing it for free. All this good content. But definitely go subscribe to that channel too. Give it some love. And give some love to Chris too. Yeah. Anyways, guys, let's take care. Take care. And as always, like I say, roll out.